Yes, y'all! It is DCTF Live, the Papa Shot champions of the world. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sitting at one desk. Sitting at another desk is Max Thompson. Hello, Max.
Hello, Greg.
So today we are going to be breaking down, we're doing our spring tour. Our spring tour, we're going through and previewing each of the 12 FBS teams in the Lone Star State ahead of, or in the midst of, spring football.
All right.
And today, it's the Baylor Bears.
Ooh.
The Baylor Bears, the green and gold.
They, from what I understand, are very good at football.
From what I understand, recently they have been. Recently, they've been pretty good at football. So we will get into that in just a little bit. Today is Wednesday, March 30th, 2016, episode number 104. The number of runs that Mark DeRosa scored as a Texas Ranger. How about that? You happy to know that one?
Not remotely interesting.
Happy to know that one. If you are, how embarrassing! I wore the same shirt today that I did yesterday. How embarrassing!
Yeah,
and you wore the same. Oh wow,
it's weird. It's very comfortable. That's why.
If you missed yesterday's episode, which was the Texas spring football preview, then you know that Max is not here right now. As you're watching this, Max is out of the country. Yeah, actually, this shirt belongs to Frank. No, Max is in England. He's in England right now.
England.
For vacation, so we had to record a bunch of episodes because we know how much you love DCTF Live. And so we are recording these episodes a little bit earlier, so it is actually not March 30th. It is a little bit earlier than that, but you don't need to know that.
That's a trick.
So you are in England right now.
I am.
It's rainy, probably.
From what I understand, it probably is.
But you are going to a soccer match.
Well, not for a few more days.
Okay. But while you are there...
while I'm there. But it's not for a few more days.
Okay, but you are going to a soccer match.
I don't know what I'm doing today. I'll probably be at the Piccadilly Circus. I don't even know.
Which is not a circus, by the way.
It's not a circus.
No, it's not. There's no lions or anything like that.
I don't know if I'm going to go now.
It's not like Cirque du Soleil.
No.
But you are going to a football match.
Yes.
At your favorite team's football grounds. You are seeing the Liverpool. Is it the
Reds? They're the Reds.
They're the Reds. Okay, like Cincinnati.
Sort of.
Liverpool, and who are they? They're playing. It's a good game, though, right?
Spurs, baby,
yeah,
in the middle of a title push.
Tottenham Hotspur. You guys are you're gonna watch them do battle.
Oh yeah,
that's got. I'll tell you, that's got 1-1 written all over it.
I don't know. Normally, I would say yes, but with Spurs trying to win a title, you never know.
You're going with your wife over there. Is she excited about this?
She's very excited. My wife lived in England for a year, so she's excited to go back and see friends and to show me places she used to hang out. And she's excited to see me be excited about something, which doesn't happen very often.
Is she excited about going to the soccer match?
Yeah, for sure. She's been to 3 Liverpool matches in the U.S. with me.
Yeah.
And she had a blast every time. Yeah.
The thing that I think I could talk my wife into going to a soccer match for is that 2 hours, it's done.
Yep.
Done. In and out, 2 hours.
Other than the fact that my wife loves to just be at baseball games because she just likes being outside.
That's how my wife is, too.
For sure. But yeah, the main selling point on my favorite sports is definitely soccer takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like college football Saturday, my wife just gives up. She's like, how are you still watching games?
Because if you're, for example, we're talking about Baylor here in a moment. Yeah. If you're a Baylor fan, especially if you're a Baylor fan, like if the game's at 1, there is a decent chance that at 4:30 it's still going on.
Yeah.
Even 5, considering how much Baylor scores.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The compact timeline is something that certainly intrigues me.
Very helpful
about soccer.
Very helpful.
We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. And we have a website, Max.
Gregory.
The green and the gold, the mighty Bears of Baylor are roaring back for 2016. So we're going to give a little bit of a preview heading into spring football, what to expect, what to look for, what they bring back, etc. Position battles to keep an eye on. We'll start with where we last saw them.
Being awesome. That's where we
last saw them was running for a bowl record.
Yeah.
On one hand, the end of the Baylor season seemed like it was merciful. Yes. Because 2015 was not kind to the Baylor Bears as far as health is concerned.
No.
That was as injured a team, especially at the key position, skill positions rather, as you may ever see.
Yeah.
I mean, they were on their fourth quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, they were. It was really pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
How far they had, that Seth Russell had gotten hurt, and then Jarrett Stidham got hurt. I mean, they were just banged up as banged up could be. Mm-hmm. So, but they did go 10-3. I mean, I think lost in all that is that they went 10-3. Yes, they didn't win a share of the Big 12 title, but nobody was beating Oklahoma down the stretch. I mean, Oklahoma was too strong. They won their bowl game, which is not something Baylor has done a lot of. Those are still very important is to win these bowl games. That's kind of been a bit of a bugaboo for them. So to win a bowl game, I think, was big. They were just horrendously injured by the end of it. There was no way around it. They were just horrendously injured. So Baylor, we'll take a look at their spring. They just decided to get started right away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insanely early. In fact, I'll tell you, by the time you're watching, actually no, by the time we're recording it, their scrimmage is over.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah.
It's over. Their spring football is done.
Yeah.
Which makes this all the more interesting. It got done March 18th. March 18th. They were just done. They're like, okay. We're going to take the rest of the day off. It was weird. But when has Art Briles ever done things the normal, easy way?
Yeah.
As far as big picture things are concerned, I don't know that there were a whole lot of headlines over the offseason, with the exception of time went by and allowed people to get off of the injured reserve list.
Yes.
Seth Russell had neck surgery and comes back and will presumably be the guy at the quarterback spot. Although I'll tell you, that makes me nervous immediately.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I know that all the history of guys who have had this kind of surgery has been positive, and that they say he should be back, he should be good as new, and all that. But whenever you talk about a neck injury, like he suffered, you got to wonder. And I think one of the big things that we were watching over spring was, does he feel? And he only participated a little bit in spring football. But when the offseason rolls on and when he does get to throwing, does he feel comfortable again?
Yeah.
Or is he going to start hearing footsteps? Because he knows one wrong hit and his football career is over.
Yeah.
And potentially even more if you want to get really morbid about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously we don't have we're not privy to the doctor's documents or anything like that. So I assume Baylor's rolling him out there, and they're like, no, this can't get any worse. But I can't help but
I fail to see why they would put him out there if it wasn't safe.
Right.
I'll say
right.
that.
But it's not going to stop me from wincing every time he drops his head in a game.
Exactly. I think that, whenever you see quarterbacks take those big hits, you just kind of please get back up. And with him, it's going to be even more.
It's tough because I think you can make the argument he was easily the most exciting quarterback in the country leading up to that injury.
Yeah,
the way he was running that offense was impressive.
Yeah, it was. So he'll be back. We'll kick over to the offense. I'll tell you that if you are a believer that returning starters are a good indication of how good a team will be, Baylor doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Baylor does not have that. They bring back 5 starters offensively, and they lose some major, major pieces. They lose the Biletnikoff Award-winning wide receiver Corey Coleman, who jumped early to the NFL to the surprise of exactly nobody.
Right.
They lose Jay Lee, another important wide receiver. Not that they really have troubles with wide receivers finding those guys. And then the biggest thing, and I've been banging this drum over and over and over, they lose 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, including, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman in the state over the past 2 years, which has been Spencer Drango, their left tackle. Yeah. He's gone. So
Cedar Park's finest.
So they lose 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. Now, they bring back Seth Russell. We've talked about him. Yep. They bring back K.D. Cannon. Right. Again, death taxes and Baylor having a strong wide receiver core.
Right.
They bring back Shock Linwood, who was banged up but tremendous for them as a running back. For me, the most important when you talk about position battles, the most impressive and important position battles are all along the offensive line. Yeah. Who is going to step up and take over spots on this offensive line? Because that's where it's all going to start. I know this Baylor offense feels like it's plug and play. I know it does. But at the same time, I don't know that this Baylor team has gone through this kind of overwhelming turnover that they'll have this year, especially on the offensive line. And you saw it, to draw a comparison, you saw it with Texas A&M. Yeah. Now, I'm not comparing the Texas A&M offensive line, which had 5 first-round picks or something, to the Baylor offensive line. But I am saying that you saw how an offensive line can change the entire look of an offense.
Right.
And so for me, I really want to see who ends up emerging when the final depth chart comes out, who ends up emerging on those offensive line spots, because that's going to be – forget Seth Russell for a moment. That's going to be the most important thing for them, in my opinion. Now, who are the sleepers? I think there's a couple. Art Briles has never shied away from putting true freshman wide receivers out there. So if you believe that Devin Duvernay and Trendavian Dixon are ready to compete at the college level, and if they believe that,
look like they could be,
then they'll be out there. I mean, they'll be playing plain and simple. Right. That's it. You saw K.D. Cannon start as a true freshman, or at least see major playing time as a true freshman. I would expect nothing less from 2 big-time recruits like Devin Duvernay out of Saxe and Trendavian Dixon out of Navasota. The other one that interests me is Patrick Hudson.
Oh, interesting.
The Silsbee offensive lineman. Now, it's harder to have a true freshman come in and play on the offensive line than it is wide receiver. But I think that they are in need of impact offensive linemen. Patrick Hudson may right now be the best offensive lineman on campus. Yeah. And so I wonder if they try to find a place for him along what has been a really retooled offensive line. If you can't tell, I'm a little leery of this Baylor offense this year. A little bit. I think there's just a number of question marks that we haven't had to think about in past years.
Right. There's more unknowns here.
More unknowns. Let's shift over to the defense. The defense, I thought, was better last year, but still not good. I thought it was fine. Yeah. They bring back just 5 starters, and they're losing a lot of the familiar names. And the biggest place they're getting hit, much like the offensive line, they're getting hit on the defensive line. Yeah. Sean Oakman's gone. Say what you want about Sean Oakman. He was a mainstay on that defensive line.
Right.
Andrew Billings is gone, and that's
a big
huge.
Deal. Yeah.
That's huge because he was probably the most valuable defensive lineman in the Big 12 last year. He was tremendous. They lose Jamal Palmer. They lose 3 of their 4 starting defensive linemen. That's big, especially for a team that the secondary has not exactly been gangbusters.
Right.
So it's a lot is predicated on getting pressure on the quarterback. Key returnees. They bring back a lot in their secondary, including their corners, Xavier Howard and Ryan Reed. They bring back Taylor Young at the linebacker spot. They bring back some nice pieces defensively. Nothing overwhelming. No. When we were talking yesterday when we did the Texas preview, it's like you bring back Malik Jefferson, you're like, all right, there's number 1 with the ball right there. That's the guy you build the defense around. I don't know if they got that guy they can build the defense around, but they've got some nice pieces coming back. For me, the position battles. The position battles are all up front. It's all on the defensive linemen. Who are going to fill those spots, defensive linemen. Now, the good thing that they did in this recruiting class is that they brought in guys who can compete right away, specifically JUCO transfers. They bring in Jeremy Falk, who was the NJCAA Player of the Year last year. Apparently just a dynamo in the defensive front. Same with DeQuinton Sleeper, who is a JUCO offensive, DeQuinton Osborne, who is a JUCO offensive lineman, JUCO All-American. Blah blah blah. And then the one guy they do have defensively that has experience, starting experience, is Byron Bonds. Byron Bonds is back, so they've got some experience up front in the defensive line, but they've got to fill this spot, especially if the defensive tackle, the interior defensive line. Now, they're going to need to find some edge rushers and stuff, but they need to find those guys first and foremost. Sleeper, I'm not high on guys being able to come in and be impact edge rushers off the top.
Right.
But Brandon Bowen from Byron Nelson, everything that I've heard about him and when I've watched tape on him, I am consistently impressed. This is a guy who's got the size. Mm-hmm. He's got that quick step. Can he handle Big 12 tackles? We'll find out. But I think they're going to give him a chance, especially on maybe like passing downs. Put him in as an edge rusher on passing downs. I think you're going to see Brandon Bowen in there a little bit as well. So that's overall what Baylor looks like coming out of spring. Did I miss anything?
I think that was most of the main key points.
So what to watch for? I mean, obviously what we talked about with Seth Russell. Right. How the offense looks with Seth Russell when he gets back to 100%. How the offense looks. Is it just steady as she goes? Or is there a little bit of rust that he needs to shake off? Who's the new number one or wide receiver? Now Corey Coleman gone. It will be easy to say KD Cannon, but can somebody step up and push him?
Right.
That would be interesting. And then can the defense fill in the defensive line? Those are to me the biggest questions for Baylor coming.
And it's so weirder situation, like we mentioned before. We don't have a spring game to watch to get like
I know they just had
a barometer or a measuring stick or anything. Like it's
they had a scrimmage and I think it even got rained out so that it was so it's just a bizarre situation for Baylor. We'll do what we always do, and again, we're not making any sort of major predictions, and keeping in mind that it's March 30th, so we're not. This is all subject to change, right?
Right.
All subject to change. But right now, and I'll put you on the spot, Max Thompson. Baylor, 2016, better or worse than 2015?
Worse, but not by a lot.
I think that's where I fall too. I think that
I don't think they're falling off a cliff or anything.
No, I don't think they're falling off a cliff. But I think that again, when you talk about the offense, for me, I get spooked when you have question marks along the offensive line. And Baylor has question marks along the offensive line.
Yeah.
Yes, they've got major skill position players.
Yeah.
Seth Russell, let's just say Seth Russell comes back 100%.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, they've got Jarrett Stidham, who's fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they've got options at quarterback.
Right.
They're going to find a quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay? They've got great wide receivers. KD Cannon, not to mention all these youngsters who are coming in, right? They've got a great running back in Shucklinwood. But all of that can be for naught if the offensive line doesn't come together. And I think that this speaks so much to how high I am on Spencer Dranko that losing him, I think, is very, very important. And they need to find answers along that offensive line before I'm willing to say they're going to be as good as they were last year or better. Right. I think it's a measured step back. Like I said, a small step back. I still think they're in the top tier of the Big 12.
Right.
I still think they're in the upper echelon of the Big 12 and can challenge for a Big 12 title.
And I still think if things shake out the right way, they could be competing for that Big 12 title.
I think you're right.
I just don't think they're, I don't think they're top of the pack. I think they have some question marks to fill before we really know where they're at.
Compared to this time last year,
absolutely.
Where we were like, oh man, look at, they got to fill the quarterback, but that's the only thing they have to fill, basically.
I trust in Art's offensive game plan probably more than anyone in the conference. So
we'll see.
If he can put all those pieces together like he has, they'll probably still be pretty tough.
I bet they'll be pretty good. So
probably pretty good.
That is going to do it for DCTF Live. Thank you for tuning in, Baylor fans. So we appreciate that. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Tomorrow, we're talking the Houston Cougars, the defending American Athletic Conference champions and the Peach Bowl champions. What do they do in 2016? We'll preview their spring. We'll give them their spring rundown tomorrow here on DCTF Live. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.